he rose to power really quickly by like murdering his family. Is like the is
600.
Yeah, and then like, but like he studied in history. He knows the history. Like people have these stories have been passed down. Like and like and then like then he and this is what the story is telling you, and you're like putting in the pieces. You're like, oh, that must have been exactly how it happened. You know, like he murdered all these people, became rise to power, and then there was the civil war. I've written in this bit, like it all just like it seems to be like historical events that or events that have happened in history is what those actual hieroglyphics are. They're not just a bit of
And
a
it's
this
not
guy's been
repeating at
stabbing.
all.
No, they're not repeating. Like each one of these, like some blocks are really long,
Wow.
some are really short, but like it seems to be like major events in history, and the ones you don't know, you've no clue about. But they seem to be like from vague history stories you were taught like as a kid from like school or from your studies as a wizard. Like anything you half recognize, this is filled in the blanks.
How recent history are we talking? Are we talking ancient or are we talking
Everything.
recent?
Everything, both.
Because we just traveled back in time.
Yeah.
And we changed something. Has that been written?
So it's from what you recognize, and what, like you'd have to check every single wall in the bloody place to check every bit of history you've ever known. But anything you recognize, it's basically fills in the blanks to, oh, how did this happen or that happen? And like, you know, like this king became king, and then it's like it seems to be depicting the story of how he became king. And maybe it's not exactly how you remember it in history, but it seems to be like a very definite path of how
Fountain of lost knowledge.
Yeah.
Neat. So does this mean that we can...
This mean what?
Well, if it's all of history and we travel back in time, right? Because currently we are... we're 200 years before the present? Or are we early, or are we later than that now?
No, you're right. I think you're 100. I think it was 150 years ago with the Long War. You moved 50 years of future again, so yeah.
Yeah, I also wanted to add, you said the at least the fall of Akros was 600 years ago. Is that from today or the present or like as far back as we've been? Or from the monument's creation here?
What year we're in.
Jesus, right. It's 600 years from whenever you studied it. So you're what age?
What would have been present.
So that's from
from what would have been present, yeah. But like again, anything you half remember or you like studied from when you were a wizard, all those some seem like half of them you don't know, but other ones you do. It seems to be like history written on walls. But as you're looking through this, Robin's like, boys, I said we need to go to the other room. Let's go. And like clearly you didn't listen for the last like 20 minutes while you've been searching through like all of this. It seems like you got like enthralled with the whole thing. Like you've searched like all of this, and it's taking you like 20 minutes to like go through some of these stories, and like yeah. So
I don't know how long.
Do any of them reference us?
Not that you've seen, but like you would literally need to go through every room of every wall of every room.
We have loads of walls left still to search. We've got some walls up here to search and some there.
Yes, but there's also another like 3 fucking pages of shit. So and Robin's like, no,
perfectly fine.
Boys,
you can ignore her request and go look at the wall.
Are you really gonna do that? I'm just gonna ignore it and just look at the walls. Do you tell me they're lads?
See, I want to push the stone and see what makes that tick, but yeah, we have a wizard reading.
Yeah, the wizard reading. You had. Oh, can you check this wall? You're like, just so you know, there's really cool hieroglyphics here, and was like, wow, this is amazing. You know, can we open these? Oh my god, and this is the story of such and such. Wow,
it's great. The wizard just got nerd sniped. Fantastic.
Yeah. So my question, like, Robin is now getting very angry. He's like, boys, we need to move to the room with the statues and the pillars. Let's go. This is ridiculous. We can read the pillars if we don't later on once we open up all the rooms.
Robin, why do we need to go to the statue room when you haven't figured out the dead end, nor have you figured out the basket room? Why not start in either of those two rather than...
Because there's nothing in the basket room. Go in there yourself. You'll see. There's just baskets.
Didn't you also say there wasn't anything in the fucking statue room?
No, I'm trying to explain to you. There's a puzzle and I've got one of the clues figured out, but I need your help with the rest.
How do you know you're not just dumb enough to figure out that there's a puzzle in the basket room too?
Because we should only need one to open up the door in the walls. Like, and she points at the rocks. Like, clearly that rock is not clearly that rock is not here or is not natural. It's clearly magical. And when we solve the room, the rock will open, and the other room is solvable.
Well, how do you know it will open?
Well, it's my only hope of getting out of here.
Yeah, but
why can't you get out of here using the main door the way we came in?
Well, my ships, if you looked at the ships, are all broken.
We have a ship that is not broken. You can come with us.
Is it a small ship, or how are you going to turn it around?
No, it's a big ship.
We'll just push it, don't worry.
You're going to
put the gear into reverse.
You're going to push a ship?
You know seen the new
no. We have a cannon. We can make enough explosives to like try and just give it small pushes. Yeah, sure.
Are you talking about using the recoil from the cannon as you fire it to launch the ship backwards? Is that what you're suggesting, Ibris?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Physically,
D&D physics engine,
it ain't ready, but it gets the job done.
Anyway, more importantly, it's like, let's go and solve the other room. Please, we can get out of here today.
I finally enter the basket room. What is in there?
Do you all walk in here?
The door slams behind you.
Yeah.
No, I'm still reading the walls up here. Let's continue reading. I want to know everything that happens in history. Let's keep going.
You do that. You keep reading the walls.
I'm becoming a Time Lord. Let's keep going. I want my TARDIS.
Yeah, you can get your tight ass out of here. No, what you're seeing the two of them read the hieroglyphics and just kind of do nothing. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just watching them.
Okay.
Waiting for Squirrel to come back.
Yeah, I'm just basically wasting my time. I'm kind of like casually looking around for anything that might look a bit out of the ordinary.
You want out of the ordinary? That one.
Yeah, so same as the other two lads. You see the hieroglyphics, you see the thing. You going into the other room, you got to wander into the statue room.
Yeah, why not? I'll just bimble in.
I'll
Which
have
one?
you know that.
Which one? You gonna go into the one with Ibris or the statue room on your own?
The dead end to the north.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can't we just check out the dead end?
You can go that way. Yeah, come on. Bring. Are you logged in? No, I'll move you.
No.
Yeah, I'm still reading. I need to learn about the entire history of the world.
Yeah, well, you don't know what you're looking at half the time, so you know.
Why not? Doesn't it make sense? I'm reading the damn thing.
Or
is it a story I haven't heard before?
Yeah, but there's loads of stories you haven't heard before. You only know like some of them.
Fantastic. Let's keep reading.
But like,
transcribe it.
But like the thing is, if you read it
under the name Aesop's Fables, it'd be fantastic.
All right, let me move. Yeah, but like, if you think about it logically here, right? If you don't really recognize the story, what's it gonna like? Oh, this king or this person? Because there's no names with them. It's not saying like
how would you ever read a new book if you like how would you get to experience a new book if you never read a new story?
Yeah, have you met me before? I don't read in the first place. But no, more importantly,
but this wizard does.
Yeah, but so like you can understand these are all history, but like some of the stories are like there's a person, and they're like, let's say, like beheaded, right? And that's the first block, which means that's how you know it's gonna end, and then the story is written. So it's like they were they were like a taxman, and then the people weren't happy with them. Then you have pitchforks, which you presume was like an uprising, and they chopped his head off. Like that's some of the stories. Like there's no context to these stories.
Well, if you keep reading long enough, you might find an interesting one.
And that's what I told about the interesting one.
Anyway,
all of the walls are covered in stories. Why isn't there another interesting one?
Because I don't have a fucking history written on everything on this half of the fucking map.
So Vulcan, how's your game with the gameplay going?
Right. Okay, here's how this is gonna happen. I'm gonna take a 10-minute break so I can write you a fucking story, which is gonna be pulled straight out of my rectum while the gnome's looking for dead ends, the fucking dwarf doing his own thing, and Robin's just going, "Can we please go to the fucking pillar room with the statues?" And while I'm broken, we're gonna take a quick break for 10 minutes.
You
Jesus.
haven't made her very
Right.
frightening, therefore we don't follow her.
Yeah, well, it doesn't need to be frightening. Christ.
Well, I mean, you could have solved this by just saying hieroglyphics can't be read by man
yes,
or elf.
but I wanted them to
I'm
make
half elf, neither man nor elf.
so. You're all just dicking about, walking around, not listening to Robin give out over and over again. It's like, let's go, let's move through this, let's escape, let's find the way through this. And none of you have been listening because you're all a bunch of trolley bastards.
Well, we have been listening, but there are two ways which we have yet to explore.
Well, one way.
No, there's the baskets and the dead end.
Yeah, and so we'll do the dead end first. No,
Well,
you have walked up to a dead end. There you go. It's the same type of rock as the other side.
Is this a thing?
I'm going to investigate. I'm going to search.
Yep, I guess that. And I've anticipated this. And guess what? It's a magical another dead end.
It's a magical dead end.
Yeah, they're all magical. The rock doesn't seem to be there. Shouldn't be there. You all see this.
Okay.
It's the same as the other ones. They're all you won't like unless no. If you spend long enough looking, you'll definitely know because you're now in tune with the weave. That
No,
they're
I'm
not
back.
supposed to be there. So in the silly, and I'm only giving you one for that we're ending this. Right? Adran. So you're going through these walls, and you see this symbol of an island, and it's vaguely familiar. It looks like Inishmal, which the port city of Inishmal is where you were, which was also the name of the island. Why they call the capital or the only real city in the island the name of the island is explained somewhat in this story. So this story, from what you can see and what you believe and what you know and whatever the hell you want to state, is why and how it was colonized. So people used to fight over this island. There was the people from Afrikaans, there's people from Theros, and what happened was like every time someone was like put a flag down or like left a small settlement there, it ended up just being this massive, like, not war because they were like small battalions, but basically we're fighting over this island. So 1 year one guy won, 1 year one guy won. And the story kind of tells of who won which fight and where. And this stretches over 7 walls, by the way. It's quite long, quite hint hint nudge nudge. It's quite an not inclusive, but it's quite a in-depth story and descriptive of how, like, oh, this guy, they won this time because they had archers and because they invented ways to use like ranged weapons, and the next time they fought, that the Theros had bigger like longbows, and then the next time Afrikaans brought cannons, and then the next time Inishmal brought like trebuchets, and it kind of just came to escalate up. And what ended up happening was the wars got so bad that two kings, so the king of Theros at the time and the king of Afrikaans at the time, there's no names, you're not too sure what timeline this was, but they decided to just end this perpetual death, and they decided this land would be neutral, and they would both send 1 battalion each of 12 men to be on this island, to stay on the island and like kind of be like, we're at war, but they weren't meant to be combative. They were meant to just settle together, and that was kind of their both ways of going, this now is a place. And then what happened was a ship would come along and like it would dock and it would stay for a week before it could move on because of a bad storm. And then next time there was a bad storm, 2 ships came along, and then so on, so forth, and more and ships came along. And eventually the battalions, the one from Theros and the ones from Afrikaans, decided that it would be really smart to build a little fort. And it ended up being this thing of, I'll build a house, you build a house. And it was kind of like, and they started bringing, like, when some of the boats crashed over or stayed here because of the storms, they brought women and children. And some of the people decided, you know, we should stay here. And when the supplies came along, some of them had, like, family, and they decided this place is beautiful, and they set up little settlements. And it kind of grew from that sort of, like, perpetual of, like, it's peaceful here. And then there's this massive war that goes out between Africans and Theros, like across the sea, with hundreds of boats on both sides, and like land raiding and this and that. And then when that war kind of came to a close, they signed off the agreements in Inishmal, which as you know and everyone knows, is like it's the peace. It's a neutral island. It's its own sovereign nation now, and it seems to be because of the big war between Theros and Africans. They were meant to continue fighting over this island, but everyone who came there kind of just like settled and decided, you know what, we're not going to make this into a thing. We're going to just accept it. That's this beautiful island, and we're going to like treat it properly and respect this island. And all the treaties then from that major war were signed on the island. And then there's another story about it, like a small war between like two tribal nations in Afrikaans, and the peace treaty was signed in Inishmal. And then you have another war between two major cities, or it seems to be cities in Theros, and those were signed off. The peace treaty was signed in Inishmal. It's like the peace ground where everyone just accepts. You come here, you settle your agreements, you sign it off, and you go your ways separately. And that's kind of what the story of Inishmal is. That is like this breathing ground over war.
Hieroglyphics on the wall.
Yeah, you got all that from hieroglyphics, and Tim's pulling it out of his ass in less than 5 minutes.
An impressive ass pulling.
Thank you.
It's a pretty good hieroglyphics as well.
Yeah, and you get all because you know roughly what the story is. You could piece a lot of that together. You know, like you're a studied man. That's how you became a wizard.
Let's go to the room with the snakes.
With the snakes.
The baskets, you mean?
The baskets, no snakes. And Gnome.
Yo.
Are you following the lads?
I'm not with the lads, am I? I'm up at the magical dead end.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. What are you doing?
Oh, okay. So where's left to go?
You can go into the one that that Robin is asking you all to go to repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can go into the basket room.
And where is Robin at the moment?
Robin is, well, I presumed Adran was walking around in circles while Ebrus was about to check out the other room. Robin is between the two lads because they're the ones that are like, they're together, so she wants to speak to as much of you as possible, and they've been like in her in the same room. She's all every 30 seconds or so. Like 20 minutes has passed here. Like the gnome would be getting bored. He gets bored quite easily. He needs to be stimulated at all times.
That's all right, he's watching porn.
That's why he learned. That's why he learned Mage Hand. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. A bit much.
But yeah, so you're like, and she's just going, boys, please, can we go to the room with the pyramids or the pillars and the statues? Like, it'll be great. Look, we can solve it. We can get out of here. It's gonna be great.
Yes,
So a pyramid was a misspeak. She never said that. I meant to say pillars and the statues. We can do this. I can show you all the clues I have.
Let's go. Let's go to that room you want.
Sure, you're gonna go with her.
Yeah. After we've been to the basket room.
Okay. Well spoken. Anyway, yeah, so you're in the bathroom. So can you all roll me investigation check, please?
$14.
4.
Sorry, I'm talking, but my mic's off because I'm eating at the same time and I
that's
don't
cool.
want everyone to hear me chewing. 18.
An investigation check.
And I said you can pick what, like investigation, perception. You tell me how you gonna search this room.
I like investigation, and I scored a 9.
So that was a 9 from the wizard.
I rolled 18, or whatever you want.
Okay.
And 14.
14. So gnome, you find le book. Well, scroll more than a book, and it states.
It's French.
I wish. I can't speak English, or I can't read English, so why would I speak French?
Well, I don't know, but you said le book.
Yeah. Just
So
trying
I
to add
assume
some
it's French.
flourish into my story. Sorry for trying
Oh,
to
okay.
like.
Well, I don't know.
Let's add
Maybe it
some
was a book in a different
razzmatazz
language.
into this D&D campaign on an online forum, but Jesus. It states and Robin is pissed, by the way. I presume you're all just ignoring her at this stage.
She said that the room was empty.
She did.
And it's not empty because we found a scroll.
Exactly. And it
fucking liar then.
Yeah, exactly. It states that Kerfinks is the god of mystery, horizons, and the passage of time. Also, that his followers claim that he knows not only the present but also everything that is ever to be known. So past, present, future. The quiet surroundings surround Sphinx, which could be similar to what you felt when you came in through the path. When you went from the outside through the 100-meter cave that wined and weaved into this entrance, it would make sense that if Kerfinks is surrounded by quiet, that would add up. So it says quiet surroundings. Or quiet surrounds Sphinx like a shroud. Standing apart from other gods, he speaks rarely, even to his most favored followers. When he does communicate, it is often as a barely audible whisper. Kerfinks can speak with a booming voice directly into the minds of all the gods simultaneously, though doing so when something threatens the cosmic order. Kerfinks' true form is abstract, or is more abstract than that of any other god. He appears only in star-filled silhouettes, usually as a hooded, four-armed figure, indeterminate species and gender. Two of the stars in his body often shine brightly, suggesting eyes. Kerfinks' starry silhouettes sometimes takes the form of a bird or a whale.
Did that say that he knows everything that has happened and is going to happen?
Yeah.
Or is that only a saying?
That's what it said.
And then whenever something threatens the cosmic order, which clearly because he knows everything that's happened or is going to happen, he would have foreseen, he decides to send a big booming voice to the other gods' heads.
Yeah,
which means he's either kind of a dick.
He basically turns around and goes,
giving them any advance warning.
He basically goes, "Oi, don't be at it.